Good morning, everyone. This year's garden, and actually all the past gardens I've had as well, taught me a lot. Some things grew beautifully, and I already know I'll be planting them again. Other things, not so much. So today, I'm going to share 5 things I'll definitely plant again, and 5 things I probably won't. And then I'm going to show you some of what I've harvested, along with a few vegetables I picked up at my local Amish vegetable stand, and show you how I'm preserving them. Well, hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a video about 5 things that I will plant again and 5 things that I will not plant again in my garden. I did a little bit of preserving this week and canning and freezing and things like that, and I'm going to take you along for that a little bit later. But for right now, I am going to go over the 5 things I will plant and 5 things I won't plant again. Got my little notes. So I'll be looking down at my notes. Okay, so the 5 things that I will plant. I have 3 things that I plant every single year, and I have ever since I started gardening 11 years ago. And those 3 things are onions, garlic, and peppers. Those are things I use all the time in my cooking. And so they're kind of like a standard. And the good thing about that is this year, I've already harvested my onions, my garlic, and my peppers, and I have enough for a whole year. In this video here, you're going to see me preparing my peppers for the freezer. I got a great harvest this year. And then for 2 more things that I will plant again, tomatoes and cucumbers. If you've seen my gardening videos before, you know that that's what I have in my garden this year. Tomatoes, cukes, peppers, onions, and garlic. As I said, I plant those things every year because I use them constantly in my cooking. As far as cukes and tomatoes go, though, cucumbers and tomatoes, I just want those for fresh eating. I don't really need to can tomatoes every year. They don't really agree with my stomach, so I don't eat them all that much. I do eat them, but not all that much, and they don't bother me as much raw, so I love to have them sliced with cucumbers for a meal. Instead of a salad, I have that. And so those are the 5 things that I will plant. 5 things that I won't plant. The first one is tomatillos. A couple years ago, probably 4 years ago, I think it was, I planted tomatillos, and guys, they went gangbusters. I was shocked. I didn't even know I could grow them in my area. I live in a zone 3, and I didn't think that they would grow around here. Well, they did. They grew, and they went gangbusters. I got a massive crop of them, and so I made salsa. And, I didn't really like the salsa that came from it. So those are something I will not plant again. Grew great, but just not something that I liked after I preserved them. Quite a few years ago, I planted oats, and that was a major flop. If you're going to plant oats, you really need to plant like acreages of them and have machinery to take care of them. You really do need whatever machinery it takes to harvest oats, because it was just, I mean, it was a major flop. It took up space in my garden. Um, Animals were actually living in the oat crop that I had. It was just not a good thing. Another thing that I'm not going to plant again is ground cherries. Now, I love to eat ground cherries fresh, but I don't know what to do with them to preserve them so I can use them later on. I've never really found anything. I planted them for a couple years and I got a bumper crop again. They did great, but I didn't know what to do with them after I froze them. I froze some and I didn't quite know what to do. I couldn't find like a jam or a jelly recipe or anything like that. And I tried them in smoothies. I didn't particularly care for them, and I didn't know what else to put them in. So that was kind of a waste for me. So I won't grow ground cherries again. Another thing is, believe it or not, corn. I love corn and corn on the cob. I actually can it. I can corn every year. Love having fresh corn either in the freezer or in my canning jars on the shelves. But it's really hard to grow. People don't realize how hard it is. I tried it 1 or 2 years and it was a major flop. The bugs got at it. It didn't grow. I mean, it's difficult to grow. And you know, there's a lot of local farmers around here who grow beautiful corn. I just buy it from them. And I'm supporting local, so I don't want to take up the space in my garden with corn. And I don't actually know if it can even grow in a raised bed. So anyway, the last thing that I will not grow again is, believe it or not, strawberries. If you've seen my video from my prior videos about my gardening, you'll see my strawberries did not do well this year. I only planted strawberries because I saw somebody on YouTube who I always thought they were a waste of space. Like, you only get, you know, a very short growing season, a harvesting season. You don't get very much. But I saw this person on YouTube who had strawberries, and they got like 30 quarts from this teeny tiny bed. And I thought, oh my gosh, I had no idea you could grow that much. So I grew them, and last year I got about a gallon size bag, 1.5 gallon size bags in the freezer. And I do use strawberries a lot, so I thought, well, I'm going to give it a try. So I didn't get anywhere near 30 quarts, but 1.5 gallon bags is pretty good. This year I got none. The plants just didn't do well. What strawberries are there? I didn't even pick them, quite frankly. So I'm going to actually pull them up, and I won't have strawberries again. So those are the 5 things that I will and will not grow again, and I hope that was helpful. So now I'm going to take you to the kitchen to show you how I preserved what I had. I picked up a few things at the local Amish vegetable stand to make some particular things that I wanted to make. And so I got some of that produce in there, but most of it was from my garden. So I'm going to take you along. Before I do, I just want to mention that if you like the way my videos and the way that I do things, and you want to know the systems that I use, I've linked my Etsy printable shop below in the description. And please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hype. It really does help my video and my channel, and I really appreciate it. So let's go to the kitchen. You know, guys, deciding what to grow in your garden the following year is really only half of the equation. The other half is figuring out what to do with everything once it actually makes it into your kitchen. So here I am. Well, I just shot some corn and I put it on the stove. You can see in that pot. That's just going to be for eating for this week. Now I'm going to spiralize the zucchini and summer squash that I have there. After I did this, I did it off camera, but I actually, cooked these up. I fried them up with a little bit of bacon grease, garlic and onion, and, spices. And that's what I'm, having for a vegetable with my dishes this week. And it is delicious. This is something new that I've just started doing because I'm trying to eat less carbs, potato and pasta and that type of thing. And these are really, really, really quite good. I'm very happy with them. So I kind of have been doing that every week. Let's see, now I am going to cut up this watermelon. This is just a watermelon that I bought at my local grocery store, my weekly grocery shop.
And they had a coupon on it, so I thought I'd buy one and have that for my veg this week. As you can see inside, it's almost too ripe. Very, very, very juicy, but I just thought, well, you know what, I'm going to give it a try, and so far so good. It's lasted well, and I've eaten on it all week long, so I'm glad that I got it. Makes that huge container, and it's really good veg and filling too. And here I am preparing or preserving my peppers for the freezer. Now I rarely use peppers fresh. I find they don't keep very long, and so I do this with them all the time. I mostly, all the time, use them in my cooked dishes, and so this is what I'm doing. I'm putting them on those cookie sheets. I ended up with 3 of those cookie sheets. I chop them up, I put them, I even them out on the cookie sheet. I put them in the freezer, and then when they're fully frozen, I put them in bags, and I'll show you at the end of the video how many I got. And these were beautiful peppers. So happy with what I got for my crop this year. I had 18 or 20 pepper plants, and I didn't count how many I had. I didn't weigh them, but I had a huge amount, and they were beautiful, nice thick wall. They were, they weren't buggy at all. Thick wall, juicy, sweet. They were huge, so I was very, very happy. I just got these seedlings at Walmart, frankly. And I was really, really happy with my crop this year. And here I am preparing my cucumbers to make pickles. This day I made garlic dill pickles, and so I'm just preparing those. I wasn't planning on doing this, but I had a bumper crop of cucumbers, and so rather than waste them, I only had 1 pint left on my shelves, so why not? I usually, when I make these pickles, grow my own dill, but as I said, I didn't plan on doing pickles this year, so I didn't grow it. But that's one of the things I got at that little Amish place that that's near me. So peeling garlic, as you know, takes a little bit of time. Your hands get so sticky, and that paper sticks right to them. So I put 1 clove per pint, and I put in usually a sprig of dill, a pretty good-sized sprig of dill, because I like them really dilly. And I find the most time-consuming part of doing pickles like this is filling your jars, getting them stuffed into the jars. I find to be the most time-consuming part of it. So I'm just continuing to stuff the cucumbers in the jars, making sure they don't come too high up and touch the lid. Putting 1 clove of garlic and 1 sprig of dill in each jar. I've got my pot ready for the brine on the stove. I made 7 pints today. I made that many because that's how many pints I can fit into my canner. So I wanted to make one canner full. Here goes the brine. That brine I didn't get that recipe from a book anywhere. This is a family recipe I actually have in my cookbook, which is in digital form now, and I've got my Etsy store linked down below. But it's a quart of vinegar, 2 quarts of water, a half a cup of sugar, and a half a cup of salt. You bring that to a boil, and then you pour it over the cukes in the jar. And there's my electric pressure canner, which I absolutely love. Reading the instructions for my canner, and I do that every single time, you guys, just for safety purposes. I read the instructions on how to do it every single time. And it actually comes with a laminated card with all the instructions. It's right there. And so here I am just getting the brine to boil. I fill the jars then with the brine, then I wipe the lid, and then I put the screw top lid on and put it in my canner. Now these will be water bath canned for, I think I did 10 or 15 minutes. I ended up having quite a bit of brine left over. And here is what I started with. And here is what I ended up with. Thank you for watching, guys. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.